Liam Hawkins, a seasoned space trader, sat in the cockpit of his ship, the Starwind, staring out into the vast expanse of the cosmos. The gentle hum of the engines and the soft beeping of the navigational systems were the only sounds that broke the monotony of his solitary existence. Liam had been traversing the stars for years, ferrying goods and supplies between distant colonies and space stations. Despite the grandeur of the universe that surrounded him, Liam's life had fallen into a predictable routine. Wake up, check the ship's systems, plot a course, and spend countless hours alone in the emptiness of space. He had grown accustomed to the isolation, finding solace in the quiet moments between deliveries. As he prepared to engage the hyperdrive for his next jump, a sudden ping from the communications array caught his attention. Liam furrowed his brow, puzzled by the unexpected signal. It was a distress call, weak and intermittent, emanating from an uncharted planet on the fringes of known space. Liam leaned back in his chair, contemplating the implications of the signal. Uncharted planets were often left unexplored for good reason. They could harbor unknown dangers or be home to hostile species. Yet, something about the distress call piqued his curiosity. It was a break from the mundane, a chance for something new and exciting in his otherwise monotonous life. He knew that investigating the signal would mean deviating from his carefully planned route and risking potential delays in his deliveries. But as he sat there, staring at the blinking light on the communications panel, Liam felt a stirring in his heart. The emptiness of his existence suddenly felt more pronounced, and the prospect of a new adventure, no matter how small, beckoned to him. With a deep breath, Liam made his decision. He reached out and entered the coordinates of the uncharted planet into the navigational system. The Starwind hummed to life, its engines glowing brighter as it prepared to jump to the unknown. Liam settled back into his seat, a mix of anticipation and apprehension coursing through his veins. As the stars stretched into long lines of light and the ship hurtled through hyperspace, Liam couldn't help but wonder what awaited him on the mysterious planet. Little did he know that this decision would change the course of his life forever, setting him on a path of adventure, compassion, and self-discovery. The Starwind emerged from hyperspace, the uncharted planet looming before Liam like an enigmatic orb in the darkness of space. He checked the ship's scanners, searching for any signs of life or technology that might have sent the distress signal. The readings were inconclusive, obscured by some unknown interference. Liam debated with himself, weighing the risks and rewards of investigating further. He had a schedule to keep and deliveries to make, but the mystery of the signal gnawed at his curiosity. It was a chance to break free from the monotony of his routine, to experience something new and potentially meaningful. In the end, his curiosity won out. Liam guided the Starwind towards the planet's surface, the ship's sensors scanning for a suitable landing site. As he descended through the atmosphere, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was about to embark on a journey that would change his life forever. The ship touched down on a barren, rocky plain, the thrusters kicking up clouds of dust as it settled onto its landing gear. Liam donned his envirosuit, checked his oxygen levels, and stepped out onto the alien world. The landscape was desolate, a stark contrast to the vibrant planets he usually visited on his trade routes. The sky was a deep, murky green, and the air was thick with an unfamiliar scent. Liam activated his suit's scanners, following the faint trace of the distress signal. As he walked, he noticed strange rock formations jutting out from the ground, their shapes unlike anything he had ever seen. The signal grew stronger, leading him towards a narrow canyon that cut through the rocky terrain. Liam approached cautiously, his hand resting on the plasma pistol at his hip. As he rounded a bend in the canyon, he froze, his eyes widening at the sight before him. There, huddled against the canyon wall, were two alien figures, a mother and child. The alien mother's eyes met Liam's, a mixture of fear and desperation etched across her features. She clutched her child close, her body tense and ready to flee at any moment. Liam raised his hands slowly, showing that he meant no harm. He took a tentative step forward, his mind racing with questions. Who were these aliens? Why were they here, on this desolate planet, sending out a distress signal? As he approached, the alien mother spoke, her voice a melodic whisper that seemed to bypass his ears and resonate directly in his mind. "Please," he said, her words tinged with urgency, "help us. We have nowhere else to go." Liam knew, in that moment, that his life would never be the same. The decision to investigate the distress signal had set him on a path that would test his compassion, his ingenuity, and his very understanding of the universe. And as he looked into the eyes of the alien mother and her child, he knew that he couldn't turn his back on them. Liam stood before the alien mother and child, his mind reeling with the weight of their words. The mother, who introduced herself as Nara, explained their plight with a quiet urgency. They were the last survivors of their species, a race of empaths known as the Zephyrians, who had been hunted to the brink of extinction by a ruthless faction seeking to exploit their unique abilities. Nora and her child, Zin, had been on the run for years, constantly moving from planet to planet in a desperate attempt to stay one step ahead of their pursuers. Their ship had been damaged in their most recent escape, forcing them to seek refuge on this desolate world and send out the distress signal as a last resort. As Liam listened to their story, he felt a deep sense of empathy stirring within him. He couldn't imagine the fear and desperation they must have felt, constantly looking over their shoulders, never knowing if each day would be their last. The loneliness of his own existence suddenly seemed trivial in comparison to the weight of their struggle. Nora looked at him with pleading eyes, her voice trembling as she spoke. "I know we have no right to ask for your help, but we have nowhere else to turn. If they find us, they will stop at nothing to capture us, to use our abilities for their own gain. Please, I beg you, help us find a safe haven." Liam felt torn, the weight of their request hanging heavy on his shoulders. He knew that getting involved would mean putting himself at risk, potentially drawing the attention of the very faction that hunted Nara and Zin. But as he looked into their eyes, saw the raw desperation and the flicker of hope that his presence had ignited, he knew he couldn't turn his back on them. He thought of his own life, the emptiness that had crept into his soul after years of solitude among the stars. Here, in front of him, was a chance to make a difference, to use his skills and resources to help those in need. It was a chance to find a new purpose, to forge a connection in a universe that had seemed so vast and isolating. Liam took a deep breath, his decision made. "I'll help you," he said, his voice steady and resolute. "I can't promise it will be easy, but I'll do everything in my power to keep you safe and find you a new home." Nora's eyes filled with tears, her gratitude palpable as she reached out and clasped Liam's hand. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "You have no idea what this means to us." Liam nodded, a sense of determination settling over him. He knew that the road ahead would be fraught with danger and uncertainty, but he also knew that he couldn't live with himself if he walked away now. He had made a promise, and he intended to keep it, no matter the cost. As he helped Nara and Zin gather their meager belongings and make their way back to the Starwind, Liam couldn't shake the feeling that his life had just taken a pivotal turn. He had no way of knowing the challenges that lay ahead, the bonds that would be forged, or the depths of his own strength that would be tested. All he knew was that, in that moment, he had found a purpose greater than himself, and he would stop at nothing to see it through. Liam, Nora, and Zin huddled around the Starwind's navigational console, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of the screens. They had managed to make it back to the ship undetected, but Liam knew that their luck wouldn't hold for long. The faction hunting Nara and Zin would have picked up on the distress signal as well, and it was only a matter of time before they traced it to this planet. They needed a plan, and fast. Liam studied the star charts, his mind racing as he considered their options. They couldn't simply fly away and hope for the best. The faction's ships were fast and well-equipped, and they would be on their tail in no time. They needed a way to escape undetected, to slip away into the vastness of space without leaving a trace. As he pored over the data, an idea began to take shape in Liam's mind. There was a nearby nebula, a swirling mass of gas and dust that could provide cover for their escape. If they could reach it and navigate through its treacherous currents, they might be able to throw off their pursuers and make a clean getaway. Liam shared his plan with Nara and Zin, his voice low and urgent. It won't be easy, he warned them. The nebula is unpredictable, and the Starwind wasn't built for that kind of flying. But it's our best chance. Nara nodded, her eyes filled with a fierce determination. We'll do whatever it takes, she said, her hand resting protectively on Zin's shoulder. We've come too far to give up now. Liam set to work, his fingers flying over the ship's controls as he plotted their course. The Starwind hummed to life, its engines thrumming with power as it lifted off from the planet's surface. They rose through the atmosphere, the murky green sky giving way to the inky blackness of space. As they approached the nebula, Liam's heart raced with a mixture of fear and exhilaration. The swirling clouds of gas and dust loomed before them, a kaleidoscope of colors that seemed to shift and dance in the starlight. He took a deep breath, his hands tightening on the controls, and plunged the Starwind into the heart of the maelstrom. The ship shuddered and groaned as it was buffeted by the nebula's turbulent currents. Liam gritted his teeth, fighting to keep the Starwind on course as alarms blared and warning lights flashed. Nara and Zin clung to each other, their eyes wide with fear as the ship bucked and twisted beneath them. Liam's world narrowed to the glowing screens in front of him, his focus absolute as he navigated the treacherous path through the nebula. He could feel the weight of Nara and Zin's lives on his shoulders, the responsibility of their safety driving him forward. Just as they emerged from the nebula's outer edges, a new alarm sounded, proximity sensors indicating that they were not alone. Liam's heart sank as he saw the sleek, predatory shapes of the faction's ships emerging from the darkness, their weapons systems locking onto the Starwind. Liam knew that they were outgunned and outmatched, but he refused to give up. He pushed the Starwind's engines to their limits, the ship surging forward with a burst of speed. The faction's ships gave chase, their laser cannons scorching the Starwind's shields as they closed in. As the ship shuddered beneath another barrage of laser fire, Liam knew that they were running out of options. They couldn't outrun the faction's ships forever, and their shields were failing fast. He glanced over at Nara and Zin, saw the fear and desperation in their eyes, and made a decision. He would not let them be captured, would not let their lives be torn apart by the greed and cruelty of their pursuers. With a grim determination, Liam altered course, steering the Starwind towards a nearby planet, a world shrouded in mystery and danger, a place where even the most seasoned space traders feared to tread. It was a gamble, a desperate play for survival against impossible odds. But as Liam guided the Starwind towards the planet's surface, he knew that he would do whatever it took to keep Nara and Zin safe, to give them a chance at the life they deserved. Even if it meant facing the unknown, even if it meant risking everything he had, Liam would not abandon them. Not now, not ever. The Starwind hurtled towards the mysterious planet, its engines straining as Liam pushed them to their limits. The faction's ships were hot on their tail, their laser cannons relentlessly pounding the Starwind's weakening shields. Liam knew that they had only one chance to make it to the planet's surface before their pursuers caught up to them. As they breached the atmosphere, the ship shuddered violently, the hull groaning under the strain of the sudden deceleration. Liam gritted his teeth, his hands flying over the controls as he fought to keep the Starwind steady. Beside him, Nara held Zin close, her eyes closed in silent prayer. The planet's surface rushed up to meet them, a landscape of jagged mountains and deep, twisted canyons. Liam scanned the terrain, searching for a place to land, a place where they might be able to make a stand against their pursuers. He spotted a narrow canyon, its walls high and steep, offering a natural choke point that could limit the faction's numerical advantage. With a grunt of effort, Liam guided the Starwind towards the canyon, the ship's landing gear deploying just in time to cushion their impact. As the dust settled around the ship, Liam turned to Nara and Zin, his expression grim. "We don't have much time," he said, his voice tight with urgency. They'll be on us in minutes. We need to prepare. Nora nodded, her face a mask of determination. What do you need us to do? Liam's mind raced, his years of experience as a space trader kicking into high gear. He had faced his fair share of tight spots before, but never anything like this. He knew that their only chance was to use the canyon to their advantage, to funnel the faction's forces into a narrow space where they could be more easily contained. He directed Nara and Zin to help him set up a series of makeshift barricades using the Starwind's cargo containers, creating a defensive perimeter around the ship. He armed himself with his trusty plasma rifle, checking the weapon's charge with a practiced eye. As they worked, the sound of approaching ships grew louder, the whine of their engines echoing off the canyon walls. Liam's heart pounded in his chest, his grip tightening on his rifle as he prepared for the fight of his life. The faction's ships descended into the canyon, their sleek forms casting menacing shadows across the rocky ground. Liam watched as the ships landed, the hatches hissing open to reveal dozens of heavily armed soldiers. The leader of the faction stepped forward, his face twisted into a cruel sneer. "Hand over the Zephyrians, and we might just let you live," he called out, his voice dripping with malice. Liam stood his ground, his eyes narrowing as he leveled his rifle at the leader. "Not a chance," he growled, his voice ringing with defiance. "You'll have to go through me first." The leader laughed, a harsh, grating sound that sent shivers down Liam's spine. "So be it," he said, his hand dropping to the blaster at his hip. In that moment, all hell broke loose. The faction's soldiers surged forward, their weapons blazing as they sought to overwhelm Liam's defenses. Liam returned fire, his plasma rifle spitting bolts of searing energy into the oncoming horde. Beside him, Nora and Zin fought with a desperate fury, using their empathic abilities to anticipate the soldiers' movements and counter their attacks. The air was thick with the scent of ozone and burnt metal, the sounds of battle echoing off the canyon walls. Liam lost himself in the rhythm of the fight, his mind focused solely on the task of keeping Nara and Zin safe. He moved with a fluid grace, his rifle an extension of his body as he cut down soldier after soldier. But even as he fought, Liam knew that they were hopelessly outnumbered. The faction's forces kept coming, wave after wave of relentless adversaries, each more determined than the last to capture their quarry. As the smoke cleared and the echoes of the battle faded away, Liam stood amidst the wreckage of the canyon, his chest heaving with exertion. The ground was littered with the bodies of the fallen, a testament to the ferocity of the fight that had just taken place. Nora and Zin emerged from behind the barricades, their faces streaked with sweat and grime. They looked at Liam with a mixture of awe and gratitude, their eyes shining with a newfound respect for the human who had risked everything to protect them. Liam felt a surge of emotion well up within him, a sense of pride and accomplishment that he had never experienced before. He had faced impossible odds, had stared death in the face and emerged victorious. But more than that, he had found a purpose, a reason to fight beyond mere survival. As they made their way back to the Starwind, Liam couldn't help but reflect on the incredible journey that had brought them to this moment. In the span of just a few short days, his life had been turned upside down, his priorities shifted in ways he never could have imagined. He looked at Nara and Zin, saw the hope and determination in their eyes, and knew that he would do anything to keep them safe. They had become more than just passengers, more than just a mission. They had become his family. As the Starwind lifted off from the planet's surface, Liam felt a sense of peace wash over him. He knew that the road ahead would not be easy, that there would be challenges and obstacles to overcome. But he also knew that he was no longer alone, that he had found a place to belong in the vastness of the universe. Nara placed a hand on his shoulder, her touch gentle and reassuring. "Thank you," she said, her voice filled with a deep, abiding gratitude. "For everything." Liam smiled, his heart swelling with a warmth he had never known before. "You don't have to thank me," he said, his voice rough with emotion. "This is what family does. We look out for each other, no matter what." Zin looked up at him, his young face filled with a mixture of curiosity and admiration. "Does this mean you'll stay with us?" he asked, his voice small and hopeful. Liam knelt down, bringing himself eye level with the young Zephyrian. "Of course," he said, his voice filled with conviction. "I made a promise to keep you safe, and I intend to keep it. From now on, wherever you go, I go." Nora's eyes filled with tears, her hand tightening on Liam's shoulder. "We would be honored to have you as part of our family," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. As the Starwind sailed through the star-strewn void, Liam felt a sense of belonging that he had never known before. He had spent so long wandering the universe, searching for a purpose, for a place to call home. And now, in the most unlikely of places, he had found it. He knew that there would be challenges ahead, but the faction would not give up their pursuit so easily. But he also knew that he had something worth fighting for, something that gave his life meaning beyond mere survival. As he looked out at the infinite expanse of space, Liam felt a sense of hope and possibility that he had never experienced before. The universe was vast and filled with wonders, and he had only just begun to scratch the surface. With Nara and Zin by his side, he knew that he was ready to face whatever lay ahead. They would forge their own path, create their own destiny among the stars, and through it all, they would have each other, a bond forged in the crucible of adversity, a love that would endure through any trial. For the first time in his life, Liam felt truly alive, truly complete. He had found his place in the universe, and nothing would ever be the same again.